In this week's Torah portion, we are told that God tells Moses to go speak to the people of Israel and then to go to Pharaoh to let the people of Israel out of Egypt. Now this is very strange. Pharaoh's got all the guns. He's got all the power. Why does Moses need to speak to the people of Israel? What possible role do they have in their own redemption if they're controlled by some other power? Everybody wants to leave Egypt. Why does Moses need to waste his time to speak to the people of Israel? It seems ludicrous. It seems totally unnecessary. But the answer is that in order to be redeemed by God, you have to believe that you're worthy of being redeemed. You have to believe in yourself before others can believe in you. You have to believe that you're going out of Egypt, and you have to prepare for it. It isn't just, hey, dudes are woken up, the army's kaput, no longer in your way, and get out of here.
It isn't that at all. It's that we have to believe, and we have to absorb the lesson that we are actually going to leave Egypt. And we're going to leave Egypt permanently to a different place, to a better place. And it doesn't make sense. At the time, Egypt was the most beautiful place on earth, the most fertile area on earth, which could support many millions of people. Why would we leave? If we beat them, why don't we just take over the Nile Delta? And the answer is, cushy life is not for the people of Israel. A cushy life is for the Egyptians, for the Babylonians, for the Greeks, for the Romans. Get the picture? Cushy lives are for empires that rise and die. The nation of Israel will live forever. Our destiny is not a cushy life. Our destiny is transmitting truth. And the first part of transmitting truth is you have to know the truth yourself. Know that there is a God, and God created this world with a purpose, and that you're part of that purpose. And not only are you part of that purpose, you've got to teach other people that they're part of the purpose too. But you can't teach anybody unless you're taught yourself. And every time we read this Torah portion, Va'era, and God says, I will take you out of Egypt, there's a lesson over here. God isn't speaking then 3,300 years ago. God is speaking now, here, in Farmington Hills, in West Bloomfield, and in Birmingham, and in Detroit, and in Chicago, and in Wisconsin, and in Maryland, and in Atlanta, and in Florida, and in California. Wherever there is a Jew, God says, I'm taking you out of here. And where am I taking you to? I'm taking you to a holy land. And the people of the world, they don't want you to have this holy land. In fact, They say it belongs to somebody else. And God says, you just determine that you are going to go into the Holy Land, that you're going to go with Mashiach, with the Messiah. And I'll take care of the rest of the business. The nations of the world think that Hebron belongs to Arabs? You got to be kidding. That Shechem is Nablus? And that it's traditionally Arab land? Who are they joking? What kind of stuff are they smoking? But that's what the world thinks, so let them think that way. But God says the first step before you are redeemed is to believe that you will be redeemed. There were a lot of tragedies last week. Horrible, horrible scenes. And the ones who suffered more than anyone else on any percentage basis are the Jewish people. And I don't, God forbid, wish to trivialize that. At the time of the Exodus, we had tragedies like that all the time. And not all the time was there a policeman like Moses that could intervene, that could help us. And yet God says to the people then and to the people now, I am going to take you out of all this misery. And you have to believe that I do that you're worthy of it, and that you can't anticipate. The people of Israel
are not going to remain in exile forever. The redemption is at hand. The Lubavitcher Rebbe said so. We just have to open our eyes and believe. And if you don't believe, then you can't have the redemption. One of the most important elements of redemption is the revelation of God on Mount Sinai, the revelation of God in this world. And that takes place through the Torah. One of the most important factors for the people of Israel today is to recognize that without the Torah, there is no people of Israel, and we're missing the whole purpose for which we've gone to Israel. We didn't get Israel in order to go to the beach of Tel Aviv. We didn't get the Holy Land in order to take a sailboat up to the Sea of Galilee. We got the Holy Land to do holy things in that land. And the essence of the Holy Land is through the learning of Torah. And that's going to be central to what's coming up in Israeli politics today. It's got to be central that we must restore the holiness to the Holy Land. And the only way to do so is by helping the yeshivas, helping those who study Torah. And if we decide that we deserve to be redeemed and that we're going to restore wholly to the Holy Land, that's going to be the beginning of God talking to the rest of the leaders of the world.